I put everything into that opportunity. When I had that presented to me, that football, like, hey, you might have an opportunity to go play in the NFL. I finished my senior season. I said, Coach, like, if I got this chance, I'm going, man. Like, I'm going, because this is going to be something that's going to spark me to do something even greater in my life. I'm going to drop out of this last semester of college. I'm going to go all in. I'm just going to go train. I don't know what the result will be, but what I do know is that there was nothing else you could have got from me. I put every ounce of my energy into this opportunity. There was nothing else. That was it.
That was a really good question, but hold that, because we are back at the Strategic Life Podcast here. I'm at the LA Chargers press conference area where all the reporters are here, but really there's only one person that matters on this show, and I'm going to be interviewing this human. This man is more than just the captain of this LA Charger team. He is more than just being the running back. He is an entrepreneur. This man literally has his own philanthropy with his Ekeler Foundation. Yes, I gave away his last name there because you probably know who I'm talking about now. But we go deep in talking about visualization, how he went from a small town all the way to being on the LA Chargers and getting a contract that is bigger than he could have even imagined. But not just that, it's more about what his heart set is. And we talk deep on what his mission is and how he's going to be leaving a wake of a legacy and the impact that he creates and so much more. So we go into many different topics. We even talk a little bit about what faith and spirituality means to him. So I am so excited to share this interview, to be able to sit down with this man, this incredible human, Mr. Austin Ekeler.
Well, this is fun. We're here in the Chargers Stadium.
We are here. Welcome to my backyard.
Well, I guess not the Chargers Stadium, but the practice facility.
Yeah, it's our
right?
facility, right? So this is the media center of our facility.
So good, man.
Yeah, we're over here like 10% of the time, I would say, and that's only for guys that do media. Not everyone does media.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you do much media stuff here personally, like yourself?
I have, over the years, started to understand the importance of media and using it as a tool. Early in my career, I was kind of like just hyper-focused on football, which you should be in the very beginning, just try to get yourself established. But then I started to get a little bit older, started to have things that I was trying to promote, started to have this realization that, I need to get my name out in the community and the fans and tell them my opinion, because then
that's definitely a must when you came from a small town. Like you weren't used to having just people know who you are, except your neighbor maybe.
It's funny, like back in high school, it'd be like, the Greeley was the big town next to us, and I'd be in the Greeley paper every once in a while, and that was like, wow, you made the paper,
Dude, same thing. I grew up in Maui, Hawaii, and we'll talk about your story here, but like I know how it is with like local, small, like being in the paper was the coolest thing ever.
It was the best. Like your mom was putting on the fridge and stuff.
Bro, I was like, Mom, cut that up, send it to the whole family. It's so cool. I want to preface like everyone listening right now, like how this happened. It was because number one, you knew media was a big thing. Yeah. And for me, I understand that connections and networking is a big thing and building relationships. And you and I met. I had no clue who you were.
Likewise.
We were, likewise. And now here we are.
Yep.
And that's a beautiful thing for you listening right now. You're always one connection, one decision away. But I was at Dave Meltzer's. I got invited to speak at his event in his studio. And so I go and speak. And then afterwards, we're connecting. And you're also, what was it, like a guest judge or something?
I was a guest judge on the show.
And how did that come up to be really quick? Like, how'd you even get invited?
So I've known Dave for, I guess, a couple years now. I forgot even how we met. I think it was through another opportunity like this, like where he saw some clips of mine. It was like, interested, that wanted to have me like for a dinner or something like that.
Okay. Probably saw that you had more of an entrepreneur mind
exactly,
and not just an athlete.
Exactly.
Like that's.
And then he's obviously a Chargers fan, so he had me in his visual. I was around him, so that obviously helps bridge the gap. And then there was he was like, reached out to his team, reached out to my team. Hey, there's an opportunity, 2 miles away from you. You want to go on his guest on his show? Good. I was like, I'll do anything for Dave. That guy's got such great.
And you showed up. Yeah, Dave. Shout out to Dave Meltzer, by the way. This is because of him.
Right.
So afterwards, we're connecting. Yeah. And I see you in this circle, and I come up into the circle, and like, look, I even to this day, like sometimes I'm like, do I want to go try to meet new people? It's kind of awkward sometimes, but like you always got to step out, because usually when you step past that door of fear is the greatest opportunity. And so you and I are connecting, and it's funny. I don't know if you remember this, but you were like hounding me with questions. Because normally I'm the one that likes to ask and learn about you, and I didn't even know who you were yet.
Yeah.
And then you flipped it around and you were like hounding me with questions. You're like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I do business consulting. Speaking, what do you mean by business consulting? Like, how does that actually look? And so I'm trying to describe it.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm the running back for the LA Chargers. I was like, oh, quick little change of energy. I was like, okay.
Yeah, man.
Remember that?
I do. It's so crazy. And just speaking on what you're talking about, it's so important to make as many connections as you can, because you don't know which one is going to be one that sparks something that gives you an avenue to go down, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to miss up on that. And so, yeah, that's something that I like to do. I like to learn about people's and learn about their passions.
Yeah, you were asking.
If I asked people, I was asking you questions, I could tell you're passionate and you were very, knowledgeable about this. So I was like, okay, let's dig in, because I want to know what you know, and then see if there's any things that we can overlap and how can we help each other potentially, right? That's what I love to get into as far as people's lives, because people are usually experts on a few things and love to talk about and can talk about those for a lot of things. And if you are, I want to know about that, because it's important for us to have experts in our lives that we're not necessarily good at, but someone else might be. We can help each other and build on that.
Well, but that's not normal though for a typical athlete. And I don't want to put that stigma out there, but most people they're athletes, they go and just crush it at that, and then afterwards they're kind of done with life. They don't know where they're at, their identity is. But what I love about your mindset is one, I've heard you say multiple times, you have an open mindset.
Yeah.
You're open to listening and hearing, but you were actually curious to learn about this random dude you just met. That says so much about you.
Yeah.
I mean, where does that come from?
Wow. So I've been getting asked this so many times, so I've actually been more conscious of it and thinking about it in my life. And as a typical athlete, I would say people are, and I was like this early in my NFL career too. I was super hyper focused on the opportunity to play in the NFL. But then I got older, and then I stayed focused, but I understood how it worked. I got in a routine and was able to sustain that. And I was like, I can do more. And so that's when I started to realize that I'm not chasing this dream of playing the NFL. I'm chasing the biggest opportunity that's presented in front of me.
The biggest opportunity, whatever that is.
I just want opportunities, and whether they're big or small, I just want opportunities, and I want to continue to, explore those and put my efforts into them if I see it, reasonable with my life and my kind of alignment. And so I think that's where my mindset comes from, as far as continuing to want to learn about other people and try new things and get experts around myself, build my team up, build myself up.
Where does that come from? If you were to actually place that back or look back, where when Austin is looking for opportunity, trying to get around the right people, that has to have some sort of origin story.
I think it's because just going back to my upbringing, my mom's ex-husband, I just did not like this guy at all, but he had his own business. He had his own fencing company. He didn't even graduate high school. Didn't do any of that, but he had his own business. And so that's what I grew up around. I grew up around a guy that was running his own business. It was his own boss, could do his own things. And I think that's from my upbringing, being around that, and then being around my mom, who was she was single in the end of my high school career, and she raised me and my little brother, basically just her. And being around that, I saw this guy who really didn't have a lot, but was still able to make it work, and I was around that, so I learned how to work. And regardless of what the outcome was, I learned how to work hard, and not to really give a lot of excuses of oh, I can't get it done. No, there's no option. You have to get it done. And I was put in those situations a lot as a child. I was taking care of this guy's animals. We lived on a ranch, all this stuff. So I learned all this responsibility. And as I got older, I was like, okay, I want to go into business too. I feel like I want to be my own boss, be in that same situation, but do it a lot better. Not be as toxic of a person, be someone that I can actually help other people find the best version of themselves as well. And so I was going into that, right? Okay. I was going into that in school. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to use football to pay for my education, and that's what my opportunities.
You didn't really enjoy football at the time, didn't you?
It's not that I didn't enjoy football. I loved football, but it wasn't my true vision in my life. And so what I mean by that is I was using football as a tool to pay for my education, and I thought that was going to be my opportunity. My education was going to be my biggest opportunity coming out of school. Okay. Little did I know, I was able to take advantage and put so much and grow so much in the football realm that became my biggest opportunity coming out of school. So I was focused on, okay, I'm going to get an education. I'm going to go into business. I'm going to start connections. I was telling you before the podcast a little bit, get into real estate a little bit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden football came and presented as this opportunity, hey, you might have a chance to go play in the league. I wasn't even thinking about the league until my junior year of college.
Wow.
You know? And that's something that, a lot of guys I don't relate to on the team, right? Because they've been watching football. They know about the leagues. They know the history.
That's all they wanted. That was their main vehicle.
Not necessarily all they wanted, but they knew about it more.
Okay.
Like, me growing up, I didn't watch any football.
I see.
I watched bull riding.
Did you even have television?
Yes, we had television out there in the ranch. We're out in the middle of nowhere for sure. But we definitely had, we had dial-up back in the day and some television.
That screeching sound, the AOL.
Yeah, you can't be on the phone if you're trying to be on the internet.
Mom, get off the phone.
Right? Yeah. And so, man, just continued to chip away, and then football presented an opportunity, and I was like, wow, like, this is something that could, boost basically everything for me as far as the capital, the relationships, and just obviously the cool factor of being in the NFL.
Well, that's the cool thing is, like, so for people, that whether they know you or not, they're going to be raving fans because of your heart and who you are, and they're going to feel this. And that's how we felt, both, Emily's behind the camera right now, and we felt that just listening to just an hour worth of you speaking, and that's the beautiful thing. But you're the captain of the team. You're playing for one of the biggest sports leagues in the entire world, and that's like people like when they see that and they see you and you're jacked and you're doing 14 reps of 405 squats. They're like, all right, this guy's an animal. But like your humble beginnings actually really add to that because you basically defied all odds.
Yeah.
Can you tell the person listening just about where you came from?
Yeah, man, and I think there's two parts to that too, like physically, where did I come from? And then the mentally, where was I at and how did that develop, right, along that journey
whatever
as well.
feels best to you, both, one, the other.
For me, I think it really came down to, like I go back to my upbringing a little bit where it was like, I feel like my mom cared for me, but I had a distant like relative that was maybe caring for me, maybe not kind of thing. And so I knew coming out of that situation that I didn't want to make people feel like that. And I also wanted to do the reverse. I wanted to make people feel better about themselves, help themselves become the best version of themselves.
From a young age, you were thinking this.
So from a younger age, I was like, okay, let me continue to grind.
Yeah.
And then people started asking me how I've come so far.
Yeah.
Right? But all I focused on was trying to better myself and my situation and take advantage of what I had in front of me, which was, sports and my education at the time. And so I just focused everything and all my energy on that. I have this one distinct memory of college. I think it was my sophomore year. It was my sophomore year. There's this thing called Spring Fest, where there's like a giant concert out on the campus. And I remember
this was in Colorado, right?
This is in Colorado. Yeah. I went to Division II school. And I remember, and I'm sitting in the weight room that overlooks like this field, and there was during Spring Fest, and everyone's out there partying and everything, and I'm in here. I remember I was doing some workouts, just watching people party, and I was just like, I gotta put myself in a situation like I just want to work. Like that's what fuels me, is having some type of grind to go through. And I remember that just because I'm like you guys are all out here, like that's your enjoyment. Like my enjoyment is in here. Like this is where I resonate
so much with you. And you, like, we got to really touch up on it because that says so much about you. But you were one of the best in high school, but because you grew up like in a small town. Yeah. What was it? Not any D1 was
zero
looking at
D1,
you.
Zero D1 AA's. I had one Division II offer. I even had other Division IIs come to me.
But they wanted to change your position, right?
Exactly. So I had a bunch of small. So my senior year of high school, I had like 43 touchdowns. I had like 2,400 yards. I averaged 10 yards a carry. If you know anything about football, I average a first down every time you give me the ball. and 4 or 5 touchdowns.
I'll take him on my fantasy league.
Yeah. In high school, it's crazy numbers, right? So look, it wasn't a big school, but if you don't go to a big school, what do you got to do? You got to dominate. Yeah. So what did I do? I dominated.
But even then, you still just weren't able to get the recognition.
I did not. I got zero recognition. Bro. I went to there's a school. It was like 10 minutes away from my school, D1 AA. It's like, they talked about coming on as preferred corner, changing my position. I played running back. I'm like, no, I want to play running back.
What made you not want to change your position, even if that D2 was offering that opportunity? Like, what?
I had played running back for as long as I could remember.
You just believed that was your
I just
spot.
wanted to play running back. That's what I wanted to play. No. And then finally, Western came to me and I was like, hey, we want you to come play running back. Our senior just graduated, and you can come compete for the spot.
Only school. It
was the only school that gave me an offer. Yeah,
wow.
Crazy. And so here I'm going up to Western Colorado. I don't know anything about this place. It's up in the mountains, coldest place in America,
Bro, I have so many correlations. Continue though. I'll put the dots together. By the way, I think we mentioned this. You were born a month after me.
Yeah.
We were born on the
17th.
same year, 17th, April 29th.
Yeah. May 17th. Yeah. 95.
Let's
That's
go.
what's up. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We'll continue. Okay, so Western Colorado.
So yeah, get up to Western, and it was crazy. There was 3 seniors there when I got there. 3. Which, if that doesn't mean anything to you, this is what it means, that there was no turnover. Because you don't recruit 3 guys. As a freshman class, you recruit a lot more than 3
Especially
guys.
when you got 80 plus people.
Exactly.
Like basketball for me was a little different. It was a smaller team, but for 3 seniors?
3 seniors. So what does that mean? That means there was dropout all over the place, right? People are leaving the program. People are going, whatever's happening, there's no rollover. And so I get into the situation. I come up. I actually left the day I graduated to go start working out with the team because I'm like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to start my journey right now. So I went to graduation with my truck packed up, graduated, threw the cap in the air. See ya. I'm going to college. I'm going to
Get me out of this.
I got a roommate. I got a little job to hold me over for the summer, up in Gunnison, Colorado, and got to work. And then when we first got there, like I said, there was only 3 seniors, and so I was like, man, like what's going on with the program? Like they sucked. They were terrible. I think they won like 1 game, and we continued to suck, but we continued to build too. I think a lot of our leadership, going in, and I think I was definitely a part of that. I remember my freshman year. I remember getting up in front of the team after like our 3rd game or something like that. We're on an away game, and everyone's on their phones messing around. And coach asked our offensive coordinator asked if anyone had anything. I got up. I remember I was so nervous because I was just frustrated because people weren't focused. Like it didn't seem like people cared. And so I got up, and I came from a program in high school we just won all the time, right? And so I'm like, this is not normal. And so I get in front of everybody, and I remember I was like trembling, like almost in tears because I was just like so nervous, but also so emotional and actually cared so much. And I was like, you guys, like we need to make sure we're locked in. Like I was just giving them some type of message as far as like, we need to make sure we're locked in. Like this is serious. Like we're not on a vacation here. We're here to win a football game and get out of here. And ever since then, I was a captain on the team for 4 years there.
That was received well?
Yeah, it was received. Yeah, everyone was like, wow, this is legit. Like, okay, this guy's, and because I was a starter after my freshman year. So I came in and started right away.
Yeah.
And then people were like, yeah, like, okay, this guy's, he's about it. Like he's about wanting to win, wanting to get better.
So let's hold on this real quick because I want to correlate a lot of your story. You're an athlete. You have so much entrepreneurship we'll dive into. But for someone that's listening, that's an entrepreneur that is feeling those exact same feelings. Maybe they are, starting their business and they need to go out and talk to that person that's going to completely like transform if they partner with them, or that client that's going to build it, and they feel that exact same nerves, and they also know that it could either go the way you had it, where they believe behind you, or they're like, this person's an absolute fool. Who is this freshman? What can you just tell to someone that maybe felt that exact same position, but in a business perspective instead of team?
Ooh, business perspective. I don't think it matters what perspective you're in. Like you're probably going to be nervous if you're talking a new space. Like if you're doing something new that you're maybe not comfortable with, you're going to be nervous. But I think the real challenge is, and the real skill is knowing your boundaries and trying to live on the edge of them. Because when you live on the edge of your boundaries, that's when the most growth happens, because there's a little bit of uncertainty, but there's also some confidence in yourself. You have some type of idea where you think you know what you're going to get or receive, or the messaging you're wanting to do, but there's also like, I don't also know what's going to happen, because we can't control everything, but we can control what we want to do. So if you're in a situation where like you're like, I know this would be helping me, but I'm really nervous about doing it, I think it comes down to you visualizing yourself doing it, which I do all the time, and kind of just coming up with a plan. And then it comes down to you saying, okay, I really am committing to myself, understanding this is what helps me, understanding I only get one chance at this in life, and I don't want to be in a situation, and this is also relates to my NFL rookie year, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm looking back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have done that. And you cannot live with yourself like that, because that is no way to live. If you're going to live like that, you will let yourself down over and over again, and it'll become part of you, and then you will be stuck. And you do not want to be stuck, right? So it comes down to not necessarily, I would say there's some type of confidence, but it's not like, oh, I have to be super confident and everything like that. But you just have to have understanding of yourself, and understanding like what holds me back, and what can I do to maybe position myself to get around that, to not work through that, or what's the different angle that I can achieve the same thing, but something that I'm more comfortable with. Yeah.
So good. It's like what they say, the pain of losing weighs ounces, the pain of regret weighs tons.
Oh yeah, you'll take loss every single day, because at least if you lost, at least you went out and did something. You have something to build off of. You have something to try.
You actually stepped in the game. The only way you could be losing is if you're in the game.
Exactly.
The people that are in the stands that wish it could be out there, they're living with the regret.
And look, I'll tell you this: we say it all the time around here. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's very simple. Like, in your head, if it's just about going or reaching out to someone and going to dinner or going to a lunch with somebody, that's very simple. You've done that before, but it's not easy because it's new territory. You might be very nervous. You don't know this person. You have to go through these, the conversation of getting to know. You have to introduce yourself. And so it's a challenge that we all face. I think we all face at some point some limit to ourselves and to our comfortability as far as how far we want to go.
Well, that's what growth is,
Right.
and I want to talk about the visualization here, but there's that chart that we've all probably seen. So you have the main circle, which is your comfort zone.
Okay.
And then right outside of that is the discomfort zone, which is where you are pushing that edge.
Yes.
But then there's even a bigger circle, which is the unknown zone. And this is where it's the fine balance. You said this so well. It's like you're like a professional in personal development or something. But like you want to, if you visualize your life, when you were standing in front of those teammates, you were in the discomfort zone and a little bit past that fence. And you know about fences because you've been working on a farm your entire life. And you knew not to pass that fence. So there's consequences.
That's right.
But you were past that fence and you're looking back, seeing if your stepfather saw you, but you were in that mode of like, how far can I go?
Right.
It's the problem is that when people are so far in the unknown zone, they have no trust or even certainty themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's where people say, oh, I've tried that and I've done that. But it's like, well, did you have any like preparation for that meeting?
Right.
Like you went out and talked to the biggest person that could have been a client, but did you prepare? Did you have any type of concern? They were too far in the unknown zone.
Right.
But for you, it sounds like you constantly teeter in that discomfort zone, which then once that becomes your new flag you put down, that's your new comfort zone.
I love it.
And then you move forward. Isn't that what's happening in your life?
Absolutely.
And that's why you're a captain of the team when you were just making barely D2.
100%. And there's another story too, actually. So after I made the team of the Chargers, I went up to the head coach at the time, it was Anthony Lynn. I told him, hey, I was like, I'm going to make this team. What do I got to do to make this team? It was the same scenario,
Just straight up, you just asked him that.
I went to his office after OTAs in spring. I was so nervous, trembling. Like he didn't even know my name. I'm just this ungrafted guy. I'm wearing number 3 as a running back. You can't even wear number 3 as a running back. Like I'm just a camp body. Like they're ready to cut me at any time.
Yeah.
So I go up there. I remember being so nervous. I said some whack stuff. I was like, I like the way you coach, man. And then, but that wasn't what I was going there. I was going there to say, hey, I'm making this team. Like let him know, like, wait, what do I got to do? Like I was telling him basically, I'm willing to put everything on the line.
What did you say?
He's like, okay, son. He's like, he always said son. He's like, all right, son. You gotta. Well, here's what you gotta do. You gotta protect our quarterback, right? You gotta, make sure you don't turn over the ball, and you gotta go talk to Coach Stu, our special teams coordinator, because that was gonna be my path. So I went over. I told my running back coach the same thing. That it was a little different with him. I told him I was making this team. I was like, hey, I'm making this team, and he kind of laughed and said, all right, son, keep working. We didn't say son, that's Coach Lynn that says son. But he said, all right, like keep working. And then I went and sat down with our special teams coordinator, had like an hour talk. And we talked about how he'd come up through the league and talked about his journey, talked about how he's gotten to cars now and came back to the league and what the league's provided for him. And that was really special with me. And a big part of the reason I'm here is because of Coach Stu. He really just stood up for me.
That was a running back coach?
That was a special teams coordinator.
Special teams coach. Would you have ever talked to him in the way that you did if you did not ask that question to Coach Lynn?
Probably no. I wouldn't have talked to him. I would have been out of the building. And Coach Lynn remembers this to this day. He actually texted me the other day, like before the beginning of the season. But he's brought it up too. He's like, Austin Ekeler came up before after his rookie training camp or OTAs and told me like, hey, like I'm making this team. What do I got to do to make this team? He's like, I will never forget that. And I just made such an impact on him and some of my other coaches because I was in my mindset, like I was talking about earlier, like I put everything into that opportunity. When I had that presented to me, that football, like, hey, you might have an opportunity to go play in the NFL. I finished my senior season. I said, Coach, like, if I got this chance, I'm going, man. Like, I'm going because this is going to be something that's going to spark me to do something even greater in my life. Like, I'm already going to go do something great, but it's going to take a little bit longer. This can elevate me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop out of this last semester of college. I'm going to go all in. I'm just going to go train. I'm going to do nothing besides train. And so what did I do? I told my family, I was like, I know you guys are excited for me, but don't call me. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. I'll update you.
Had to set those
Let me update you.
Yeah.
I'm going to train to take everything out of this opportunity that I can, put everything in Austin Ekeler into that.
And it's nothing personal.
It was nothing personal.
Like, don't take it that way. I'm just letting you know that I gotta set some boundaries, some standards, as I call it, so they don't take it personal, but you could focus and not feel that guilt or that shame.
Exactly. Because it was like, look, when you have an opportunity as presented in my situation, come from this little tiny school, probably going to go work in Colorado.
Which they've never seen before, right?
Never. I was the first guy from my school to go to the NFL from there. So
awesome. It's
like, look, I have no other desire but to want to put everything into it. So I don't know what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, and I even said this after my last preseason, I got asked like, hey, how do you feel like you did? I was like, I don't know what the result will be, but what I do know is that there was nothing else you could have got from me. I put every ounce of my energy into this opportunity. There was nothing else. That was it.
And the coach asked you that?
No, a reporter asked me that.
And
I said, I was like, if I don't make it, it's not meant to be, because that was everything. That was all my energy. So many hours extra after running routes, after practice, watching all the film. So I made sure I knew every single thing, because I was sixth string. There was 5 guys in front of me, right? And I was last on the depth chart, and I never moved up on the depth chart. And so my mental was all over the place. I was stressed out of my mind. I broke down crying to my a lot of emotional spots here. You can tell I'm all in, right?
Please.
And I'm not even an emotional guy.
I'm freaking fired up, man.
I'm not even an emotional guy, man. I'm not even emotional, but that's how far into the uncomfort zone I was, because I was like, I have to make this work for myself, or at least put everything in, control what I could.
I feel like every emotion you're sharing right now.
And so I went, one time I went and talked to my coach during training camp before I had made the team. I'm like, Coach, like, I feel like I'm taking advantage. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. Like, I'm not moving up on the depth chart. Like, what's going on? He's like, this is the way the NFL works. He's like, you're going to have to earn the reps. Like, we see you. He's like, just keep doing what you're doing. But I'm getting like 4 or 5 reps a whole practice. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm losing the opportunity. But I didn't realize that, it's this compound interest of just making sure you're available, making sure when you do get an opportunity that you do take advantage and you're ready. And I pretty much did that the entire time during my rookie year, and then obviously ended up making the team and been building ever since.
That right there, what you just shared about with the coach telling you that you went all out. You had this, first of all, this feeling of like, hey, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, because you gave it all.
Yeah.
But the coach even saying that after that, hey man, this is part of the process, or this is part of how the NFL works, and just keep being consistent. That's such a powerful message for just life in general, because there's people listening right now that maybe are giving it their all, but they have to realize that they have to still give it their all and just keep working at it, just like how you did.
That's
just because you're being the best out there. And I felt that when I was a freshman in college. I was crushing the other centers, because I played basketball. And I was like, and I didn't get no minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, Coach, what's going on? And he'd be like, we'll figure it out, whatnot. The assistant coach would be like, you should be out there playing. But the reality was, it's because I was a freshman, and that's how it was for them. And that really broke me down, but instead it actually built you up, and that's why you got on the team.
Build you up if you continue to push. If you don't let it get to you and discourage you, be like, okay.
How did you not get discouraged?
Because I was so committed to all of it. Like, it was such a short window for me. It's like, you have this amount of time to make your impression to make the team.
So even afterwards, when he said, get your reps, you'll keep being consistent, did that give you just a glimmer of hope to keep going?
It didn't give me anything. It didn't change anything in my mindset, though. It was just like, okay, I guess that's what it is. I'm still going to continue to do what I've been doing, because I didn't know anything else. What else was I going to do? I didn't know what to change. I was giving everything. What else can I give? Nothing. It was everything. All my chips were all on the table.
And then, so where did that lead to? So then you said you got...
And so it led to me, obviously making the team, right? And then, my rookie year, I was put in a position where I was on special teams.
Okay.
And basically I said, this is my livelihood in this league. I literally, every time I was on special teams, treated it like my life depended on it. My livelihood, my life depends on me being successful in this opportunity, because that was my opportunity at the time. I wasn't scoring touchdowns. I ended up scoring 5 touchdowns my rookie year, but it wasn't until I started making plays on special teams. And it's still my favorite stat to this day, which no one else will care about, but I led the entire NFL on tackles on punt my rookie year. That's how, I was relentless. You could not stop me. I am running through everybody, and I'm going to I'm making this tackle because I have to,
man.
And so I was so proud just of my younger self, because that fire lives within me, and now I'm spreading to other parts of my life, and I'm starting to realize hey, I can take this knowledge, apply it to other things, build those up as well, build a team around that, connect. That's why we're here talking. But at that time, I didn't know any of this. I was just super motivated, highly concentrated on one thing.
You now are more personally developed, where you can look back at it and realize, oh, that's why I was doing this thing, or that's why I was
So I would say now I understand how I work and why I work the way I work. And it wasn't because of football. I wasn't like, yes, I want to take advantage of football. I just wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. It was a huge opportunity, so I wanted to make sure I took it full advantage. And so I as I've gotten older, I started to realize there's a lot more opportunities presented from the NFL. And that's where like I started getting interest in these. I'm like, ooh, like let me get into real estate now like I was going to back in the day. Let me start a show. Let me start getting more community engagement. Let me start, connecting with people. And then I started to see some, some deficiencies, and that's where I started about like some of my own businesses, my stream, like things like that. And so now I see myself with a giant team trying to just take advantage of opportunities. And not only that, I've come upon myself where I'm like, I want to help other people create opportunities for themselves and recognize those as well. You only keep
so much to yourself before you're just like, there's nothing more exciting about this, but the moment you can give and support and serve, that's when it opens up infinite potential of fulfillment. Yeah. That's what you probably felt.
That's exactly where I feel like I'm at right now.
You know what's so cool about what sets you apart as I'm listening to you and seeing this is that your identity, most athletes, their identity is football. Football star. Right. They're going to be the best football star, but the identity is that the epitome of it is that.
Right.
You instead, the way you're describing, you're an opportunity seizer in the sense that you want to achieve this. Your identity is an achiever.
Yeah.
So that's the North Star. So whether football falls under that or entrepreneurship or real estate, no matter what, you identify as an achiever, and that's why you're going to crush in life with whatever you do.
Right.
So my question for you is how important, have you thought about what your identity is, by the way? Like, have you thought about like what you identify as?
I have been. I think, like you said, an achiever. I like that verbiage because I've been trying to put verbiage on it because I know I'm like an opportunity like seeker, kind of like you said. Like that's what I'm really pushing towards.
And you seek it, but the thing you're really good at is achieving it. That's why you're in the league. So, there's no other reason you'd be in the league unless you could achieve.
Absolutely, right? Well, I mean, there's a give and take, right? Like it's not just, hey, like I have to achieve everything. Like I'm not really, I like to say this, I'm not results driven. Like I'm more so process driven, right? The process of achieving is what really gets me excited because I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I'm building this app, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm going all in, man. Like everything's in there.
This is so good because we have a lot of people in sales, and I teach, the blueprint of human influence. And when you're speaking to people, people have different ways of being motivated. They make decisions in a certain way, and you just unraveled. If you like someone knew what the actual blueprint was, you unraveled that you're more of a process person, versus a completionist.
Yeah.
And so when I'm trying to sell you something, and this is totally relevant what you're sharing, but this is so good because when you learn these things, you can learn what motivates people. I would rather sell you on a business partnership, a product, a service, whatever I'm at, about the process. If I was just, because I'm a completionist in the sense, I want to get this result. If I'm trying to tell that to you, you're like, man, that doesn't sound exciting. I'm like, bro,
that sounds way too distant.
The world, you'll be able to like work with people day by day. This journey sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting that, and I know this is all about the strategic life here.
Yeah,
so we're all over the place on that.
But just an example, like in real time in a football sense, like people ask me like, oh, like you didn't make it to the Pro Bowl last year, you scored 20 touchdowns. Like, how does that make you feel? It's like, I really don't care. Like, sure, I would like that recognition. That'd be nice. But like my ceiling, I don't know how far my ceiling is. Like, I'm going to continue to push myself. Like, I care about, like, I scored, like, I built up this thing. I built up a successful season to myself.
Yeah.
Like, I went through that journey. Those results, especially the ones that I can't control, like Pro Bowl, I can't control that.
Can't control that.
But what I can control is my effort and my production that I put out, which was successful to me.
And there's a big benefit to that because you are, like you said, you don't know what your ceiling is, and there will never be a ceiling because you're always about the journey.
It never ends.
The moment that you're trying to get to that destination, it's like what they say, it's the hedonic treadmill where you try to make that first $1 million and then you'll be happy. So people are so completionist minded, they get to the $1 million and they realize they have more stress. They're like, well, when I make 5 million and then 10 million, and then now life is gone. Where you, dude, like that's the advantage. And maybe, you're listening right now, you can start asking these questions of like, how can I enjoy the journey more? Like, what can I do to look, feel, and act like Austin, where it doesn't matter if I don't get that new business opportunity. Like, did I do my absolute best? Did I try everything I can? That will make you a lot more happy because that's why you're crushing it.
I'll even say this. I think it goes deeper than what you're saying. You're saying it'll make you a lot happier.
Let's go.
It will, for me, it is my fulfillment. It's not even just that it makes me happy. It's why I am trying. It's what I'm doing in my life. It's what I'm trying to do with my life is find these journeys to build myself up and then leave a wake of motivation to help others do the same. It's so much deeper than happiness. Happiness is so temporary, right? But I feel like fulfillment is like, I feel like I get up every day. I know what I'm trying to do. I know the process. I can speak it. I can tell other people about it. And they're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense, because no matter what you're doing, what you have right now is your biggest opportunity, and the fundamentals of what's going to make that successful for you will present the next opportunity. So what do you need to focus on? I want to focus on the process of taking advantage of what I have now. And that makes me so fulfilled, because it's like, there's no end to it. Like I could do that forever. There is no end. There's no ceiling. There is no ceiling. Like people say, shoot for the stars. No. You just build your ground up. And you just keep building your ground up. So no matter if I fall, I'm already up here because I built myself up here. I have all these connections, network, net worth, all that stuff, right? Like I'm not shooting for the stars, looking to get to this level and then I made it. Like no, I'm trying to just continue to work, continue to build, and continue to put myself in these processes that make me a better person, make me a more rounded, more depth. There's more depth in my life. That's what it is, because there's so many experiences, there's so much knowledge, there's so many connections that all that stuff fills my life with all of this substance that is like, wow, like this is worth something. So that's why it's deeper for me, because it's like it's a life. It is my life.
What's end game for you? Like what's the ultimate outcome? Even though you're not a completionist, you see that in that sense. What is the big vision for Austin Ekeler?
So I mean, right now obviously I'm in my 20s and playing ball, so I feel like I have this, this maximum amount of energy, and I'm putting it into, and I have a very concentrated moment.
Wait, you have energy?
I have a little bit of energy.
I don't think I felt
if
that
you haven't noticed.
Conversation.
I'm like this all the time. You should talk to my
Good
girlfriend.
thing you're a Charger, right?
Like you should talk to my girlfriend. She can do every interview for me, because I talk about the same stuff all the time. And I have this is the energy that I just carry around with myself.
End game. What does that look like?
Oh yeah, end game. And so like in this moment in time, like I feel like I'm trying to plant as many seeds, right, to create this, like I'm trying to create a visual here, to create this orchard that provides other seeds, right, for other people to help themselves, whether it's me using my resources to help them, me using my efforts, or just my plants and trees in general help them. And so for me right now, I'm trying to take advantage of my 20s. Like, I'm never going to have as much energy as I do now. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my prime.
Whoa, hold on.
What's up?
Don't be casting that on yourself. You're never going to have more energy than your 20s. You could have even more energy.
In your 20s, you're at your peak as far as...
I don't know. There's a lot of fat slobs
as far as
that are
testosterone
20s.
Levels, as far as my youth, as far as my brain functionality. Like,
I've seen a lot of low energy 20s, and they get in their 40s, and they finally pick their lives up.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm going to try to hold on to this level of energy as long as I can. I know that. Go. If not, elevate it in some type of way. I guess it's just a perspective of how you're trying to use it. I have a lot of physical and mental in this part of my life right now. It'll transition more to the mental side as I retire from football, but hopefully that's a few years down the road.
So you want to plant this orchard that's giving out these seeds. So what does the orchard look like? What's the purpose behind it?
So really, I really feel like the main theme of my life is really to try to help others want to be the best version of themselves while I'm also doing that. Like I want to be the best version of myself, which means continuing to plant seeds, continuing to build myself, build my value and whatever I seek as value. And for me, it's like my network, me, it's my relationships, me, it's, the things that I can obtain and use those to help other people obtain and stuff like that. And then, like I said, I spoke before, helping other people do this. So I have an ecosystem that I've set up right now that is basically the base foundation of that. And I want to continue to expand that. And it includes my foundation. It includes, the app experience. It includes what I'm doing right now with myself, as far as football, as far as my shows, things like that.
How does the NFL play into this orchard? Like, where do you see that visually, or how does the NFL allow for this orchard to grow faster, quicker?
The NFL is probably one of the most plentiful places of opportunity in the world. Like, it's a haven for someone that's just looking for opportunity, because it's everywhere. But what some people don't have is the recognition or just the mental mindset of wanting to take advantages of that at their time right now. But what I mean by that is the NFL, there's so many fans of the NFL. That's how I met Dave. That's why we're together here. Because he's a fan. He saw me that I was interested in like entrepreneurial things. So he wanted to, get together with me, and now we met, and now we have a relationship. Like I've done that with hundreds of people that are fans of the Chargers, just from the network of the Chargers, and just living in LA, and especially living in LA. Just the connections from the people that are Chargers fans and how many people they know. And then also, just being able to play games and have some type of sustained career obviously gives you more benefits. The longer you stay in the NFL, the more opportunities that come for you.
Compounding interest, as you mentioned, no?
And so even my rookie year, people are hitting me up like, hey, I'm glad you're a Charger. Like, these are real people. Like, these are people that have jobs, that have connections, that do things themselves as well, right? And so there's those opportunities. The opportunity, obviously, of having a lot of capital. Whether you play 1 year or 20 years, you're going to have a lot of money. Like the minimum's like 600 something thousand, right? So you're going to get a good start. And so there's that one. There's the exposure. The exposure as far as your name, being a Charger, being associated with that. So now you can build a following. And the list goes on. The networking, the exposure, the capital, just the way you can get into people's things because of the coolness factor of being in the NFL. And then it just comes down to you being able to take advantage of those, which is not easy.
And all of that just pours into this orchard. It's a lot of eyes, a lot of financial abundance.
It's all here at once. So it's just a big ball, right? It's just like, hey, pick out what you want. It's like an a la carte. What do you want to do?
I love that because once again, it shows a lot about what your heart set is, because there's a lot of other athletes in multiple different NBA, NFL, NHL, all that see the exact same things you just described, but they do it for their own self-growth.
Right.
And for you've very clearly and visually shared that this is an orchard that you want for other people to prosper.
Right.
And it's the same exact vehicle, the NFL. It's being how it's being used though, and you're using it for the betterment of this world.
Betterment of myself too.
Betterment of yourself alongside
myself,
it,
and then like I said, I want to better myself and build myself up, and then leave, like I keep saying, I leave a wake, right, of motivation behind myself.
That's the first time I've had someone say like they want to leave a wake for the legacy part. Where did you hear that, or where did that come from?
I don't know. I just imagine, like, I grew up around lakes,
Okay.
Imagine being on a boat, right? And you have this, like, you're leading the way, right? You're like setting the example, like, look how far you can go. And then there's this wake, the waves behind it, the boat that are just kind of just going out.
See how environment plays such a big part.
Look at that.
That's the first time I've heard that description. I've heard, leaving a kingdom, leaving a legacy. You're like, I'm leaving a lake.
I'm leaving a wake, right? A wake behind me.
We don't have much lakes in Hawaii. It was an ocean.
So we'll say a legacy.
A big lake.
It's not even a legacy though, because it's not. I don't care if you remember that. Austin Ekeler helped me. Like, I don't care about that. I care if you actually get something out of something. That's what I care about. That's what I focus on with, like, my foundation. Like, we put physical things back in the community. But you might know that I did that, you might not. But what is important to me is that you actually use it and utilize that to help yourself get in a better situation. Like, for instance, we built a gym for a school up in Santa Barbara. And during my little speech I was giving, I was like, none of y'all are going to remember that I put this in. Like, you guys are going to forget. But what is important is, maybe they won't because my face is on the wall. But but what's important is that you use it, because if you use this weight room, you're going to learn mental toughness, physical toughness, how to work you're going to learn all these skills that are going to help you in the real world, right? You're so sheltered in high school, you don't have as much responsibility, some more than others, but regardless, when you get to an adult, you're going to need to have these types of skills that are going to help make this a little bit less stressful and have you be able so you can manage it a little bit more. So that's what we're trying to do with the Austin Ekeler Foundation, to put these resources. We put in washers and dryers back into communities where it's like, people they can't have clean clothes. So it's like, well, you're worried about your clothes. Like, no, let's get you washers and dryers. Don't worry about your clothes anymore. Wash those.
Such
like,
a small
go worry about something else.
To get one dryer, but to think about the ROI of how many lives, the confidence these kids showing up, with like dirty clothes or having to wear someone else's clothes because they don't have clean clothes, and you just sometimes we overlook that.
Exactly. So it's like, let's, that's part of the wake, right? Part of the wake. Like, I'm trying to get as far as I can, and then let's plant seeds where we can help other people as well.
Wow. Let's talk a little more about the your foundation.
Yeah.
When did that officially get started?
So I started it 2.5 years ago. And why?
Yeah, why did you start it?
I mean, I don't know, actually.
How did you start? Like, was it something that gave you this opportunity? You said, I want to just start giving money away?
I think I was getting to the point in the NFL where I started to understand, like, how it worked. I think it was after my third year. So after my third year, it got pretty repetitive. Like, okay, like I know the off-season routine. I know what it's going to be like coming back in. I know what to expect. I know how to get myself ready. And it's like.
So when you say I knew how it worked in the sense of like the routine and scheduling of like when you have time off for yourself.
So imagine this. You come into a new job. It's going to take you a lot of, or even if you hire somebody, there's going to be a lot of growing pains that you have to get through. There's going to be a lot more effort that you have to spend in the beginning to figure out how to work with each other. Where do I go? Where's the bathroom? Where's this? Like, what's the routine? You know, when do we have our meetings? Things like that. So it takes a while in the NFL because you have to play well, and it's just, you have to continue to build yourself into it and get yourself established that, okay, you can play at this level. So basically that process took about 3 years for me. And then now it's like, okay, I know how to be a pro. And so basically what that did was narrow down the time that now I can be more efficient, and now I have excess time. Because now I'm not worried about, now I know where to go. Now I know my coaches. Now I know the playbook. Now I don't have to keep studying for hours because I already know all that stuff.
So when that got into routine, then your mind was able to think about this foundation?
Exactly. Well, I had more time to think about other things. I was like, okay, football is going well. I'm being successful. I'm continuing. I know how to do that. Now what else can I do? Like, what I have this void. Like, okay, where's the next challenge at? You know, not saying it's not a challenge, but it's like I have room for more on my plate, right? Like we said, I'm chasing opportunities, so I'm like, okay, I'm taking advantage of this one. Where's the next one that I can start taking advantage of and start building into that?
So what did that look like though? Was it someone you had to go partner with? Like, how did you actually initiate this foundation?
So I called up my attorney and I was like, hey, do you know how to start a foundation? He's like, yeah, we could do that. He's like, I can do it in probably like a month. And I was like, I want to start a foundation because I want to start helping people. Like, for myself, the vision behind it was I didn't have a ton of resources growing up, but I had them. Yeah. I had enough to get by. I was like, I want to make sure that people that are coming into a situation not because of the choices they made, but because of the environment they live in, or maybe their parents are low income, living in other cars, or living, in assisted living, or just their school is so run down and there hasn't been any new resources. Like these situations where it's not because of options, just because of lack of resources.
Yeah.
Let's get back to that so they can have that normalcy. They can have that opportunity like I had when I was younger. And it's not that it's going to be the best top of the line, but it's going to be there. Yeah. It's there. You can use it. So the reason I did that, because at first I was like, I want to help individuals. Like, I want to help people, like kind of like a mentorship. And this is actually like really relevant in the entrepreneurial world, but it's like, you can only help someone so much. Like, you can't change someone. If someone doesn't have the motivation, if someone doesn't want to physically go out there and do something for themselves, you cannot help them. Because then you're going to try to change them, and that's not how we work as humans.
So good you say that. So good. So that's beautiful. You have the personal mission behind it of your story of how you felt. Now, maybe you weren't in as the worst case scenarios that these people are, but you have your heart to that, which is also easier. I wouldn't say easier, simpler, to share this with others and allow them to feel that transference of emotion because you have your emotions with it. Yeah,
and so just speaking on what I was speaking on, right? Like, I was like, I want to help individuals. He's like, let's slow down. And it was like, let's focus on like what helped you. It was like, it was my mindset, but then it was also having the opportunity to apply my mindset to the things that I had around me, And so it was like, okay, let's put resources then, because it's the old saying, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. It's like, we say the same thing, I swear, every day here. It's like, we can have the most motivation, we can have all, but if guys aren't going to show up and don't want to put the time in, then we can't help them. We can't help that. And that's relevant for anyone. Like, you can go to any motivational speaker, you can go to any of these people and get excited, but if you aren't going to truly take on the personal responsibility to actually make an action and an actionable change in your life, then you're not going to change. Yeah. And then if you continue to do that, that will become who you are, and you will be more stuck because then you always
start to identify as that person.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people, you've probably seen this, that are listening to this podcast. When I hope you guys are listening to this, Get in Action, but you listen to this podcast and that podcast, go to that event, and then they are the same 1 year later. I'm like, why are you doing all this? And it's because they start to identify as the one that likes to learn the things but not apply it.
Yes.
And then it just creates this cycle, and if you felt this in the past, like, you could break it, but you've maybe been in the cycle where you want success because you're going to all these events and you're hearing Austin crushing in life and you're hearing about what I'm doing or what Tony's doing, and then you keep feeling like you're less than because you're not changing.
And the reason I would say the main reason that you're probably not changing is probably because of your environment. And it's harder. I feel like the older you get too. Like if you've been doing that for a long time,
starting to get stuck in your ways.
Oh my, yeah. I mean, it's the old dog new trick saying. It's tough. It's not easy. It's simple but not easy because it's like, oh, just do different things. Well, you've been doing something this way the entire way. Now you're saying do it this way. It's tough. But one thing that could help you is definitely your environment. That's something that I have continued to grow around myself to be people that are like hyper motivated, like want to grow themselves, not necessarily in the same way that I do, but they want to grow themselves in their direction. So I have a lot of friends, just that I've met being out here in LA that are really successful in what they do, and they're really passionate about a couple concepts that they just are crushing it on.
So good.
And I just love being around them and hearing about what they're doing, and hearing about, the things that they're successful in. One of my, for example, Bear, he does all the marketing for a jewelry company called Jackson.
Oh, I know. Oh, I don't know him personally, but I have a lot of mutuals. Bear with do you know JJ by chance?
JJ.
He goes by JJ Little Jefe.
I don't.
They're good friends and all.
Really?
But Bear, because I used to live down here in Dana Point.
So that's what's up.
He's Jackson, right?
Yeah, he does all the Jackson.
This is literally Jackson.
Shout out to Jackson.
Yeah, shout out to Emily for getting that for my birthday.
Let's go.
I'm literally wearing Jackson.
Yeah.
All right, we're putting this,
there it
send
is.
us the Bear. Let's get some sponsorship going. Come on.
Shout out to Bear.
So continue though.
We're just talking
Bear.
about like guys like him that, like, we're not like very best friends, but like we're acquaintances. Like we talk to each other probably once or twice every single week.
And when you see him hustle, you're probably like just like.
Well, it's like we like feed off each other's hustle. Like I'll be talking to him about, hey, what's going on with the app? He'll be talking to me, hey, what's going on with Jackson? Like, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, I'm gonna put you in a podcast. Hey, I'll give you a shout out for Jackson and all this. Like we're just feeding off each other, right? Yeah. And him pushing himself pushes me. And then obviously I'm in a unique scenario because I'm around 53 guys that are hyper focused on trying to become really good at football, so that also helps me, be around that environment. And so I'm in a really concentrated, hyper-focused environment on a lot of people that want to be great. Mm-hmm. It might not, like I said, it might not be exactly what I want to be great at. Like I do want to be great at football, but I also want to be great at being an entrepreneur and growing. But being around it just helps so much.
I want to tap into that really quick. I have so many different routes I want to go, but I heard you talk about this a little bit, which is you are in the avenue of football.
Yeah.
And you are not only one of the highest performing running backs in the entire league, but you're also the captain of the team and you're crushing it. But you also are in many different avenues.
Yeah.
What can you say, or how are you not diluting yourself because you're focusing on these other things? How are you still crushing it in football but still focusing on that? Like what's keeping you really good at what you do?
So I was talking to Emily about this before the podcast, and I think it's been a year of me really focusing on this, because I did get to a point where I was like, man, I'm so burnt out. Man, I don't want to keep doing like whatever it was, like the foundation. I'm like, do I just let it kind of go under the rug? And then I started to realize like I was spending a lot of time on these short-term pleasures that didn't really mean anything to my life. Like, playing, hours of video games here and there, like scrolling around on social medias, like just chilling around watching TV shows. I'm just like, I started to get under control. It's like, I have a vision of where I want to go. And none of those things help me get to there. Like I want to be on an upward trajectory to that. And so I've been really conscious of trying to eliminate, not totally knock them out, because we do need some type of short-term pleasure to give our mind off of things and give us time to relax. But I wanted to really start minimizing those. And so I've been really conscious about understanding, okay, is this a short-term pleasure? Is this appropriate for me to be doing this at this time? If not, okay, what is something that I can be doing that's going to help me continue that upward trajectory towards my vision?
This is so good.
Right? And so it came down to time management for myself.
Yeah.
Like we have there's a lot of time in the day I feel like that can be captured and can actually be utilized for something that's actually productive that we kind of just sweep under the rug or use it for a short-term pleasure. And so with my team, I've been really focused on, hey, let's organize everything. Let's get everything back to back to back to back. So when I'm done with work, I go into the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing. Short-term pleasure at the end of the day when everything's done. And so like
at the end, it's like the reward. It's like
exactly,
the dessert.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like the come down. Like, like let's play some video games.
Which is
now.
okay. And we have to give some like freedom to people listening, because there's entrepreneurs that are like, they're hounding themselves, burning themselves out. And they think that if they're going to go scroll on social media or maybe watch a show at night, they're losing.
No.
But like, it's good to do it as long as you get the main things, the main thing and the most important thing, and then have that.
And for me, I know if I come home and I start playing video games, I'm done.
Bro, I had to leave my Xbox back like years ago because I knew if I was even around, I'd be on there for hours.
I'm done, you know? So it's like, I got to make sure I come home, I'm straight into what I need to get done, right? Yeah. And it's just came down to me, it was managing my time.
Once again, also your environment too.
Yeah,
you got to clean up your environment, not have the video games maybe as present. If you have a problem with junk food, don't have it in the cabinets.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's such a good example.
That's actually a good one. So like,
what? Tell
the
me
junk food's a good one for personal reasons. I love junk food. And so I just can't buy it. I just don't buy it, right? And so, but
what's your go-to?
But I'll still go down to the pantry and open up the pantry like
there's
gonna be something in here this time.
I do that all the time.
And I'm like, man, and I'll close it.
But it's good that you don't have anything in there because
there's nothing in there. It's like I open it, I'm like, maybe I forgot something in the back. You know, maybe there's like some fruit snacks.
What's your go-to junk food?
Man, I mean, I'll eat fruit snacks. I like chips.
Do you at least do it like where it's like organic or clean chips or fruit snacks?
No, absolutely not. I want the dirty stuff.
Oh man, you just go
terrible. So that's why I just don't buy it. It's one of the best things during the football season.
So someone listening right now, they're gonna be like, well, how's this guy still so jacked if he eats junk food all the time?
I've worked out year round for like 10 years straight. Like working out is my therapy.
Do you still eat really high quality food for the most part, and that's just like your little?
Definitely high quality food, and that stems
like the 80-20 rule, like 80% really high quality, 20% junk.
Everything in moderation, right? Yeah. Like, I feel like it allows you to actually have some more freedom when you're working out as much, as I am as far as just year round. Like, it's funny, people at the end of the season, like, oh, you're ready for, to get some downtime. It's like, I'm still going to be working out, staying in shape. I just need to stop getting hit. Yeah. Like, it's just the getting hit part that I need a break from. I still can run around, catch the ball, do stuff like that, things that are fun for me. But working out has been a big part of my life. That's why I went back to the foundation with the weight rooms. Like that, I learned so many skills and had so many memories from the weight room, and just all those skills that I was telling you that it teaches people. That definitely is ingrained in my mind. And like for me, it's more therapeutic. Like I just want to go there. I just want to put on some metal music and just grind and just push myself. That's a controlled environment where you can physically push yourself. Right? There's so many benefits from going to the gym or doing something active that is not even physical. Like mental toughness, being able to, stay on a schedule, being able to be pushed, being around the social atmosphere if you're doing it with friends and other people. And, we're not even talking the physical stuff yet. Like all these other skills that help you. And then on top of that, it helps you, have less health problems, give you longevity, self-esteem because you feel like you look better, you feel better. Like it's just a huge bundle of benefit, but it's one of those things. It's simple but not easy, just like a lot of things in life. And so that would be an amazing ad for anybody, as far as if you're not working out, that I would highly advise. And bring someone with you because it's going to be a lot easier for you to do. Exactly. It's going to be a lot easier for you to stay on a schedule, stay on a routine if you bring someone with you and you do it together.
And I'll say this, and you're right, like let's keep it simple. It's not going to be easy. And I like to simply break these things down of someone that is so expansive in your knowledge, your wisdom, the way you live life. Like going back to what Austin just said, it's like the biggest thing is environment. Right? Understand who's around you, and you might be listening right now and be really good in certain areas, but do that reality check of Austin thinking of like, okay, what am I like wasting time with? And it's just that conscious decision of like, man, I really am spending a couple hours on social media, or I really am binge watching, 4 times a week, when maybe if it was 1 time a week on Netflix, that could be fine. But having that reality check, because there always are weak spots in your life. And so if you could just do a reality check and think about, man, what are you struggling with? If it is your health, then that's maybe where you have to change the environment. Your environment for personal development's good, but is your environment with people that are out of shape that you're always around, or you have the junk food in your house, or maybe it's the relationship, you're around people like you're trying to find the love of your life and you're around a bunch of people that have been divorced multiple times and you're getting advice from them. Like that's the things that we don't like to look at because that's our blind spots, and that's usually where we say, well, no, I'm around a lot of high performers and I go to events and all that stuff, but there's so many other areas of your wheel of life. Relationship, health, you got finances. Like finances is just one of the 8 areas. Contribution, adventure, like family. So I just wanted to really just let you sink that in, because we're going so many different areas. What can you change in your environment? What can you start to give up for those short-term gratifications for the delayed long-term gratification? That what you just shared there, because I like studying this and learning this. That is the exact reason why people stay on the hedonic treadmill, is because
What's that?
So the hedonic treadmill is like when you are in this constant cycle of like wanting to get the next thing, but then you get there, then it's another goal. It's the never-ending finish line. Okay. So you're on this cycle of like thinking like life is going to be good when. That's the hedonic treadmill. So the reason why people get stuck on that, or the reason why people be the ones that go to all these different events and they never act on it, is because them going to an event or them listening to this podcast is short-term gratification.
Right.
So they get that dopamine hit thinking they're doing good, but they're not used to doing the delayed gratification, which is the things that we're trying to say here, which is change your environment. You won't get a hit right away if you're trying to change your environment. People are like, oh yeah, I know you should change your environment. Well, do you? No. Oh, I know about like, going to work out. Well, do you? No. That's the problem, and that's why most people don't succeed.
Yeah, I think that's why
they're doing that.
I think that's why I'm a little different, because I feel like my dopamine hits comes from doing the process of it.
Well, because you grew
like
up
it's
on
process
the farm.
Driven. Yeah, I was
6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, breaking ice.
I mean, share about that. I want you to share the story.
So the worst part of it was in the winter. Winters in Colorado, cold, snow, and before I'd go to school every morning. We're out there pitching. We had 5 horses, pitching hay to horses, and then had to go break their ice. And I remember like especially having to water them. We didn't have any like bubblers that keep like the tanks from freezing. Like you're out there busting ice,
You're doing this in high school?
No, well, I started like in 6th grade.
6th grade, bro. I complained when I had to feed the dog before school.
Oh yeah. No, there was no complaining, or you get your ass beat type of shit. Like there's no complaining. Like, and that's it. Like I hated it, but like looking back, like
it was the biggest blessing.
That sculpted me, man. Like that's like there's no excuses. Like what are you complaining about? Like it was work. Yeah, I didn't like it, but now I see it. Now I use that because now I'm like in a situation where like I would never complain.
Would you go back to that situation though?
No, I would not. I would not put my child to that situation.
That's usually how it is. But that is so beautiful. Your greatest test was your testimony.
But it was tough love, is what it was.
Tough love.
It was tough love. So I definitely will go back to tough love. Absolutely. Yeah. But I'll just do it a little differently.
Do it a little different. Tough love in a different environment.
Do it in a different environment for sure.
If you were able to right now, Austin, that you have all these successes, all these things you're doing. If you were able to go back to 11-year-old Austin, that's maybe in that exact environment you're describing, what would be something you would tell him? Or something you'd provide him or show him that would be?
I'm where I should be. Like I can't give him anything. Like I think I just step aside and let it play its course again, because I feel like I'm in such a fulfilled place in my life right now. I'm like, this is everything that I could ever imagine. Like I'm so fulfilled every single day. And I'm like, if I were to die tomorrow, I've given everything to my life so far. Like it was a great run. Yeah. Like it's been a great run so far. If I die right now, if I die 80 years down the road, like regardless, if I'm still alive, I'm going to continue to build these things and try to help other people. But that's just my mission. That's my journey. That's my fulfillment in life. It's all of those. So I don't want him to change. I don't want him to change at all. And just going back and even looking at my younger self, I remember back in college, my freshman year, it was like 2013, 2014. I have like these motivational quotes that I was posting back then. Like this is before I'm anybody, as far as in the Chargers or even on campus. And I was just so proud of just like all the things I was saying to myself, talking about like making sure that, hey, like things might not always be great, but hey, you got something, take it, like just little quotes. Like there's like 8 or 9 of them. Like, God, I love that kid. Like, yes, like that's what it's about. And so, man, like I'm in a very fortunate place where I'm like, yes, like I there's nothing I would change. Like, what am I gonna tell him? Because I want you to be right where you're at right now.
Yeah.
11-year-old me.
What an incredible mindset. Yeah. And I think that's why you are who you are today, because your mindset is when you look back at your past, you don't regret it. You understand that was the process of who you are today.
Right,
like exactly. You don't want to change that, where other people, and someone might be listening, might be still in this regret of, it shouldn't have been that way. I could be in a different position if this would have changed.
And there's different scenarios, right? Like people have very different upbringing and just different lives in general, where there might have been a very pivotal moment in their life where it's like, oh, I should have done something differently there. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was, something that they're like, oh, they took advantage of. For me, I didn't have that like defining moment where like catastrophic change in my life. Yeah. So I guess I can't relate to really that type of scenario. And maybe they wouldn't want to go change, because that still made them who they are today. Yeah. And I guess it comes down to, are you happy with yourself today? I guess that's really what you're asking me there.
So good.
You're asking me if I'm pleased with who I am today, or is there something I would change back?
That's really kind of like the underlying part of the question is.
Yeah. Like, no, right. I ain't, bro. I'm stepping back. I'm just gonna Get out there, brother. Break that damn ice. Break that ice.
Get out there.
Shoveling snow and all of it. Hoses are frozen at night, pulling them in. We had like a wood burning stove. Got to start up the stove and thaw out the hoses because. So if you watered the horses, we didn't have like hoses like out next to them. You had to run them all the way from the house all the way out to the pens. And if you didn't blow all the water, you had to go pull the hoses uphill, blow the water out of them so that there was no water in this. Because if they froze, it would crack the hoses and expand and crack the hoses.
Oh, you would have got
yeah. Because usually it was like late at night, like why are the horses out of water? And like get your ass up, get them water. All right, going to. Getting out of bed, putting stuff on, dragging hoses inside. My mom's pissed off. He's pissed off. I'm pissed off. And so, it's just, nights like that I will never forget. But made a long way from then.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's like what you said. It defined and created who you are today because it's so evident. You're a hard worker. You're consistent. You don't need the glitz and the glam of life to be happy because you didn't really have that, and you found your own internal happiness.
It's in the work.
It's in the work.
That's what makes me happy.
It, man.
That's what makes me happy because when I work, it builds me up in so many different ways. It builds my mind. It builds my network. It builds my experiences in life. It builds what I have. It builds the impact that I can make. Like there's so much stuff that you can get from just working. Right. And so that's therapeutic to me. I'm like, yes, like let's go to work. Like I can't wait to go to work tomorrow. Like,
if people have this negative connotation to the word work. So let me because this is actually what it really is. You're a creator. You know how to create. Working is to create something. You're going to create an outcome. You're going to create the horses to be happier. So you are addicted in a good way to the creation of things. And that's truly our deepest essence. We are creators. From the mind comes the thoughts, and the thoughts become actions, and actions become a creation of some sort.
Exactly. And another way to interpret it is my perspective of work is the growth of myself. It's not you're creating, but I'm creating myself. My stomach's rolling. I'm creating myself, in the work. And so that's why I share this with people that are on my stream. I'm like, even if you're doing something that you don't want to do, like there's still opportunity for you there to build yourself up, which is what you're doing essentially. Maybe you're focusing on monetarily and it's hourly, but if you change your perspective and be like, oh, maybe you're working some register job. Like, hey, what do you have? You have responsibility here. So you have to be organized, you have to be able to communicate, and you have to be able to execute, on your assignments and things like that. Those are all skills that will help you in a lot of other jobs as well.
Yeah.
So if you're able to master those and maybe even teach someone those, guess what? Now you can move up maybe now you can be a manager, or maybe now you can apply those skills and be like, hey, I did this, in my last job, I was able to build on it. Now I have these skills, and so I'm really good at that. Now you have a new opportunity. Like you have to be able to see the opportunity within your work, when it's not necessarily that it's, you have to love your job, because you don't. A lot of people don't love their job. I would say, a ton of people don't like their job, right? But I think it's because of the fact that they're looking at it wrong. I would say it would be more beneficial for you to look at this as an opportunity for you to grow yourself so that you can apply and acquire skills to work in something that you do want to do, and so that's what I always share with my stream, because I have a lot of young people on there that are like working,
changing the next generation.
That is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help them be the best version of themselves.
Man, that's just let that sink in real quick. You talked about visualization earlier.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the zone when you were there as a freshman and you were in that zone of discomfort and you would visualize. Tell the listener here, like, what does visualization, like, how do you act? Because we know what visualization is, like that's who they are, but what do you actually do?
So for me, it comes down to my preparation, which then actually can give me some type of visualization in the first place. Like, I can bring this one back to football as an easy reference. Like, I practice all week, right? I practice all week, and we have a script of what plays we can potentially run. And so literally in the locker room, in my hotel room, I'll go down the script, I'll say a play, I'll just envision myself, okay, maybe I'm running out to the right, catching the ball from Justin. All right, here we go. I'll just give myself a little, I'll even kind of walk it out. Like I said, I'm running out, boom, Justin throws me the ball. All right, what's the next play? And so it comes down to me preparing, me understanding what I'm supposed to do, knowing what my assignment is, and then me basically visualizing that and even going through that motion a little bit, right? Because it just builds so much confidence. Like, I feel like I've done it before.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been here, I've done this, I know what I'm going to do.
So eyes are closed, do you put music on?
No, I'm not even closing my eyes.
Your eyes are open.
I'm like, okay, all right, boom. I'll just give myself a hike. I'm coming over. boom, just caught this ball.
So like when you're actually visualizing though, are you seeing it like where you're catching the ball, or do you see it from above? Like
right.
Like
so no, I am seeing it as myself. Like I'm visualizing this, imaginary ball and imaginary Justin throwing it to me and me catching it and then go make a move on the imaginary defender, right? And even a visualization, even in the business, in my entrepreneurial space with my app. My app, I've been building, planning this thing for so long. I have a bunch of visualizations, but I have a visualization of the entire ecosystem and how I envision it like being very successful. And then I have smaller components where I'm like, okay, this is how I envision this part of the app looking just in general, like for my devs and stuff like that. And then with a lot of times that's where the inspiration comes from for me to actually like put something on like a piece of paper and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of different visualizations I think that I do. And it's just part of me preparing for things, right? It's part of the setup to some type of bigger outcome or some type of test, whether it's the game or whether it's actually me giving it to my dev team to then go and execute, right? Yeah. It's all set up and preparation is where the visualization comes in. And it's not that's not the only part of it, but there's steps into it. And the ones I feel like you're almost at the end is when you really start to see that. And you're visualizing the whole time, but that's when you can see the complete picture. And that's where it's really important just to understand that.
Do you find many of like, let's just say your teammates, do they visualize as well? Or is this
I have no idea. I've never talked to anyone.
Never really talked to them about
like,
that.
Hey, I have no idea. Yeah.
Is it kind of a taboo thing, or like it's kind of like woo-woo still, or is visualization more?
Whether you like are knowledgeable about it or not, I feel like we all do it.
Yeah.
Right. It's your imagination.
Yeah, we visualize the best things happening.
It's your imagination.
The worst case scenarios happening.
It's your imagination, and it's just different. It's depending on the situation, like if you put a lot of preparation into it, what is that preparation? That's giving you some type of confidence. It's giving you some type of know-how, and that know-how in your mind, you can visualize how you're doing that, right? Yeah. Whether you consciously are aware that you're visualizing, you're going, everyone does, I've just understood that because people have asked me about me visualizing things. So I just know when I'm predominantly doing it.
Yeah. But you don't know if like too many other people are doing it on your team. That's not like really a topic you've ever had.
I've never talked about visualizing with the boys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. You would think in a sport like that, and that's why I'm curious, like for something that's so powerful that it only takes a few minutes, like people would be more intentful with it. Like, because if that's like literally a hack, I know some of the greatest, the GOATs, like Tom Brady talks about visualization a lot, but many different players, Kobe talked about it all the time in NBA. You would think that would ripple through and more people would do that. But I guess it's the same thing as entrepreneurship, where even most entrepreneurs don't even visualize because either they don't get the instant gratification from it, they think they're too good for it, or they don't even know about it. But I really do believe it is like a superpower. It's an advantage. It's the Ekeler edge, as you would say.
Ekeler's edge.
Yeah, the strategic. I talk about getting the strategic edge, and then you're like, dude, my show's called Ekeler's Edge. Like,
yeah, there's some crossover there. Shout out to Ekeler's Edge. Catch us on Yahoo.
That's right. Catch them on Yahoo. I think that's a superpower, and I don't think it is. It is a superpower to be able to see the future so vividly. So then when it happens, like how Kobe says, like when he envisions the shot, making the game-winning shot hundreds and hundreds of times, when he gets in that moment, there's none of those nanosecond nerves of like tightening up or fidgeting or like, oh my God, there's 10,000 people, this is win or lose. It's like, no, I'm used to this.
Yeah, but
that's the advantage of it.
You just said why he was able to do that, right? Is the setup. Like it's setup and preparation, because that gives you the visualization, So if you can't visualize, the things that you're trying to achieve, then you probably haven't set yourself up or probably haven't thought about or prepared enough for that to even become a thing.
And you will be in a reactive mindset instead of proactive. When you're out there and you see that situation, you're always in a proactive state. You're in not just football, but business as well. When something comes to you or you get a big opportunity, you know how to be proactive and take it down that road. Where if you're not visualizing, this is a call to action for you right now. If you're not visualizing, you'll always be in a reactive state.
Absolutely.
Because you are not preparing to know what's going to come in the future.
Right.
You're just living by the things that are coming to you externally, and then you're reacting.
Right.
And where that goes, that doesn't go far at
all. And that's what I would say is in the beginning of most people's career, right? But as you can start to become a vet, then you start being more proactive, because in the beginning you have all these unknowns and unexpected, and you're still kind of raw, you're still forming yourself, right? So you have all these reactions that you're taking, right?
Yes.
You're trying to figure it out. But as you continue to get older, continue to get more prepared, do more practice, then you're like, okay, it's like, for instance, we'll keep it in football terms since, I'm a football player. When you come in as a rookie, You know, when you come in as a rookie, you come in, you're kind of just like reacting to how the locker room goes, like how do people interact? How do people talk to coaches? Like we don't call them coach around here usually. It's like first name base, like we're coworkers here.
Yeah.
So it's a difference. Like you're learning all this stuff. You're reacting. Then, as I said, like after my year 3 for me is when I felt like I was like, I understand this. Now I'm being proactive. Now things are coming at me. Now I know how to treat them. Now I'm using these things. Now I'm taking advantage of these things. So we go through this, and yeah, you have to get to that proactive state where you feel like you can actually understand and know what the heck's happening, whatever that instance is for you, whether it's sports, whether it's, your business, whether it's you're building something that you can actually be able to visualize. It's not going to happen and you're just like, oh, I'm going to start doing visualization. No, there's a trend, or not a trend, but there's a route you have to take when it comes through all the practice.
Yes.
Because you can't just go out there and just do stuff.
Yeah.
You have to build up. There's so much preparation and setup. If you've ever built anything big or anything substantial, or not even that, if you've ever built anything, you always have to set up before you can actually start to move in any direction, up or down. Right? You have to be able to actually have the foundation to actually start, okay, let's build something. I mean, you can get as basic like building this table, right? You're gonna get the instructions. That's the setup. It's already done. Now you start to actually go forward, right? And then you see the table. They give you, the pieces, the instruction. They give you the finished project. The finished product is that's the visualization part.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man.
And you're visualizing that before it's even built, right? It's just a bunch of boxes, but you get to see the table built in a picture. That's the visualization.
Yeah, you're on a different one right now, man. So let's talk a little bit about your actual career. Okay, so you've been in the league 5 years?
5 going on 6.
And you joined right after the San Diego Chargers became the LA Chargers. So
Correct.
You've always been
Always been LA Charger.
Okay. So you came in, from what I saw in your stats, you came on a 3-year contract.
3-year contract, my first year,
for 1.6 mil?
Yeah, 1.6. That's the minimum rookie undrafted
What did
contract.
that do for you? Were you excited, or did you feel like, oh man?
Oh heck yeah, I was excited. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
3 year, 1.6 mil, like you play football. Like I actually had an internship. So I had some money saved up for my internship. I worked for an oil and gas company, and they paid like $20 an hour. And I was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Coming out of college, $20 an hour. Are you kidding me, for an internship? So I saved up like $15K, during my college summer that summer, just working for Noble Energy at the time. And so I had a little taste of like, it has made some money for myself. And then that was my junior summer. And so then my senior summer obviously went to the NFL, and it was at a whole different level, right? Like big checks. Like I'm like $30,000, $40,000 at a time. Like, whoa, like this is huge money. And so really, I didn't really do anything with it. I just kind of because I didn't know what to do. I just kind of got paid for like my first year, and just kind of held on to everything.
So you're kind of just holding on, not putting it at the real estate or stuff like that.
I didn't put into anything. It was just a big ball. And I was advised to do that by, our counsel and then our PA. Just like, for your first year, just don't spend any money, basically.
So you did 3 years, and then at the end of your 3rd year, you got your 4-year extension.
Correct.
Why did you get a 4-year extension?
So, I mean, was balling out.
You're balling out that time?
Balling out, right? Yeah. Like I had built myself up. So my first year was mainly special teams, scored a couple touchdowns. Second year, like, okay, this guy can actually play ball. Got more into the offense, scored even more touchdowns. Still was on special teams. 3rd year, took me off of special teams, only playing offense.
Okay.
And then had my best career ever.
Oh, man.
Or my best year ever up until that point.
Yeah.
And so then that was my contract year. Yep. And so then got signed to a 4-year deal.
And 4-year for 24 mil?
Yeah, 26.5 with incentives.
26.5?
Yeah.
So what was that like, going from 1.6 to 26.5?
I thought I had big checks before. Man. Talking about, like take you up to an even bigger level, right? And at this point, I already had like 5 or 6 duplexes, multifamily houses back in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So I'd started to get a taste of my entrepreneurial side. Getting it back going anyway, right? I've just been hyper focused on football, starting to get back into it. And then, so signed for, the 26.5. And, man, that I didn't know what to do, man. I was just like, I guess, like, this is all the money I would ever imagine to have. I had never imagined to have this much money,
What was the most surprising thing that happened when you signed that? Was it like, whether it was something like with your family, or just you did something funny, or something random happened? What comes to mind when you got that big check or that big deal?
What comes to mind? Wow. I mean, honestly, more money to invest. Like all the money I've made, I pretty much invested everything. Did some special stuff for the moms for sure. Bought her a new truck.
How did you?
Yeah, I took care of her just because she's driving this van that's got like 300,000 miles on it. Every time it turns to the left, it makes a weird noise. I'm like, okay, Mom, let's get you something nice. So did that, and then basically, like for me, like at that point, I had made 1.6 million, so I had some type of capital saved up, and so that more money, I was almost numb to it by then. Like I was almost in that realization in the first couple of years that money isn't everything type of thing. It's something. It definitely is not saying like, oh, you just don't have money, you still be fine. Like just to even function in America, you have to have some type of capital. But I was at a point where it was like, I had more, it was great, but it wasn't like, I think me making the team, making my first check was more impactful, more exciting than getting the extension. Not saying I wasn't excited, I was ecstatic. Right. But like the actual influence in my life of the money, I think was less. And I think that's when I started to just mature more.
Yeah, the maturity probably played a big part.
Right, which is like, I'm absolutely glad I'm trying to even get another contract, after this one. But was really understanding that this is going to open up more opportunities for me in my investing space in that point. But I still knew that my opportunities really still coming from what I'm doing on the field and in other places in my network and stuff. That was real value, because that's value that never goes away. We talk about this in the running back room all the time. It's like, would you rather have $50 million, today, or a $50 million plan today, kind of thing. Like we just always have these conversations. So kind of that just reminded me of that. But for me, it's like the real value. Another thing we said the other day was like the money. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean much. Like it's like, what if I said, hey, you're only gonna live for the next 5 years, but I'm gonna give you all the money that you could ever want, you can spend. You have unlimited credit card, right? But you only get to live for the next 5 years. Would you take that? Like, no way. No. I want to live out the rest of my life, because time has infinite value to it. And so I started to realize that, like, okay, money isn't the holy grail, right? So
that's so good. Yeah. So you had that career, or you had that new contract. When did you actually become the captain of the team?
Yeah. So was fortunate enough to make an impact, on the team, to the point where I was able to become a captain in my 5th year. And the reason I say impact, because there's just so much that goes into it to get the respect of your teammates, right?
Expand on that. That's what I'm really curious. Like, how did you get that position? What does that actually look like?
Yeah. So just coming in, like I'm just this rookie, just raw, just trying to build myself in, start to get established a little bit more, get into my second contract. And I'm just continuing to work. All the stuff I'm talking about is who I am as a person. I want to go out there and work. Like I'm going to be out there, I'm going to be barking at people like, hey, try to get other people ready to go to work. Like I'm excited to work. I'm excited because I get to go practice. Is another opportunity. And so the energy is contagious, right? Like people will start to feed off of that. And, I started to earn respect as I started to have some more success on the field. Like I was leading by example. I wasn't trying to be a captain or anything like that. I was just being myself and just trying to, like I said, bring people with me. I'm trying to get you excited about going to practice and getting better. Because guess what? If you didn't have practice today, you'd be somewhere else. And you wouldn't be having an opportunity to get paid millions of dollars to play football, right? Like let's go out and let's get better. Just getting other people like, hell yeah, let's go, man. Like now you're hyped.
You're getting me hyped right now.
Let's go play some football, man.
Come on, put me on the team, coach. Let's coach it.
Go, like that's an opportunity for you.
Can I go try out?
I'll
be tight end.
I talked to Tom Telesco, our GM. We'll see what.
Yeah, Tom's the guy.
Tom's the guy.
That's the quality question. Who do I need to talk to get a tryout?
You got to talk to Tom.
All right. If not, that could be a really good water boy.
There's a lot of different roles.
I'll be a very designated water boy for you.
That's not easy.
I'll make sure it's alkaline. Okay.
With
the right
pH
amount
levels
of carbs,
are good.
Per liter of water, so you're getting the most hydration.
Okay, so you got carbs in your water. You can't be the water.
Well, you got to have a little bit of sugar, man.
What kind of carbs you got in your water?
Like a very watered down version of Gatorade, maybe Powerade. You got to make sure you stay hydrated.
What's that? The Water Boy? What's that movie?
Yeah, Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah. The pH, he's boiling the water outside.
The pH.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back, so you're hyping them up, really good.
So I just was being myself, right? And then that's why it's so special to me that I was voted a captain, because I haven't changed anything. I wasn't trying to be a captain, but I was just respected enough. There were guys like, we respect you. Like we would want you to be our representative, of us as a.
Who votes? The whole team?
So our team votes.
Okay.
Yeah, our team.
So once
votes.
a year this happens.
Yeah. So once a year we vote for captains. And then even before I was a captain last year, and then I'm on one of our player reps for the NFLPA too. And I thought this was even even bigger honor because all of our player reps from all the teams come together, and then we vote on our executive committee. And I was voted to be a part of the executive committee as well. Out of all of the people that represented the teams coming together,
wow.
And so. Like I started to see like, hey, I'm making an impact on people's lives, and it's exactly the kind of the mission that I've been set out on, right? And I've seen it, it's relevant. I'm seeing it in my DMs. I'm seeing it, on my team. My team's respecting me, and so it's like, okay, I'm on the right path. What I'm doing is helping people, and that's really special to me. That's why I think it's such a tremendous accomplishment for myself and just for like the people around me. Like I just really am happy that I'm making some difference in their lives. Yeah.
So you've been captain for 2 years.
So now this is my.
So every year you have to get re-upped or get re-voted.
Yeah.
And then the other captain, is that Justin?
We have, I think, 6 captains.
6.
Yeah. So Justin's one of our captains. We have Sebastian's one of our captains. Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, and myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you? Because you're also an entrepreneur, so you can speak on this. For someone that is looking to level up in their leadership role.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to someone that wants to be more of like a captain in some sense, but also like just looked at as someone that is of authority, but is a leader that they want to actually become? What would your advice be for someone like that?
See, for me, because I wasn't even focused on ever being a captain, but I was focused on making an impact first in my own little space, and then also when I started to do that, helping other people also hopefully motivate them to make an impact in their space as well. And so that's what I was focused on, and that's what naturally allowed me to be in a position where people were making, I was successful at that, and then I was impacting people. But there's different types of leaders, right? And so it's hard to say because there's a lot of there's some people that just are, you're a leader because people watch you and you do your job so well and you're so dedicated, that's contagious. They're like, wow, that's really cool to see. Like, that's a good representation of our team or our space or my group or our company because of how much they work, right? Someone that leads by example. Yeah. And maybe it's not like maybe they're an introvert, but they're really dedicated and love their what they're doing. And then I think you have people that can actually connect and actually when they speak, like you feel their energy, you feel like what they're saying, and it's like really motivating. The things that they're saying are really connected, and they keep an open mind and they listen, and they can articulate some type of message for the team to get people excited. I think that's a leader. I think it's best when you can put them both together.
I was going to say when you put them together.
You put them together, and there's other leadership qualities out there too. But so
I think that's what you are though. Is you weren't on the pursuit of being the leader. You became the leader because you pursued serving others. Yeah,
well, I just pursued my career, and then as I was doing that, trying to leave a wake, like I tried to help other people do the same thing, right? And so that's going to give leadership qualities. If you're going to be able to help anybody, you're going to be seen as some type of leader in some aspect,
so
right? And so I think if I'm trying to help somebody, I think it comes down to you using your skills to better yourselves to the point where now people are looking up to you or wanting to learn from you because you're taking advantage and they see the success or the growth that you've had. It's not always based on how much you've done. It's sometimes just based on how far you've gone, And so it's not that you reached a certain level, but you're having success, you're moving, you have an upward trajectory, and people gravitate towards that. Because in my opinion, and no one's ever done growing, so it's like, okay, like who's grown in a way that you can relate to or that you like or in your field, and it's like, look at those people, right? Those, you're probably going to see them as some type of leader. You're going to see some type of advice that you could take from them. And so that would be, I guess, leadership quality. And so that would be my advice is, like I said, continue to do what works for you and try to, help others that are also trying to go along the path that you've already been.
Yeah. Wow. This kind of plays into leadership because the way that you're describing things, you have definitely a bigger calling. You're talking about this wake you want to leave, like you want to leave impact. And, people that are self-absorbed don't want to leave impact. They want to leave their name out there, but they don't want to create the impact that you want to. I'm curious, like what does like faith mean to you, or how does like faith of whatever that looks like to you? And we have people of all different backgrounds, and people know my background on that, but like, what does faith mean to you?
Yeah, so I've actually never talked about this, but grew up in the Catholic family, going to the Catholic church, and just being around that, there was some things that I really didn't like about the entire church aspect of it, and faith to me, I guess, was just believing in something more, when that can mean so many different things, and having some type of belief. And for me, it's not necessarily an individual being or things like that, but I think for me, faith is appreciating what this is, all of this, you know, because to me, if you're focusing on one being, or like we're trying to like humanize this thing so we can actually have some type of visualization, like to me that's not what the faith is about. To me, faith is believing that this is all an opportunity for us to have some type of fulfillment in our life, and we should appreciate it and try to take advantage and help each other all take advantage of it, because it's so brief. And I don't know, you know, if there's an afterlife, if there's not, but what I do know is that I appreciate what I have right now, and I want to help others appreciate. I always want to help people grow. Like I think there's something therapeutic in that too, because we're all in this together. We're all stuck on this globe together, right? So like, why not make it all beneficial for us all? At least attempt to. And it takes people taking care of people and caring about our earth and caring about each other. And so I also think that also starts with us building ourselves up first, you know? So there's a selfish aspect, but then being so selfish that you're selfless, you know, because you want to build yourself, which is going to help the rest of all of us. You know, and so it's really, that's what I would say my faith is. My faith is really in the appreciation of this moment in time, and my people around me, and the earth and the resources of me having this chance to actually live and actually experience what all of this is, and try to, you know, create my journey and my story.
Wow, so beautifully said, man. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of like men that especially like listen to you, and maybe they've been struggling with how to describe their faith, because maybe they don't believe in some specific thing, but there is more to a human than just your current successes. It's the overall well-being, like you mentioned. Yeah,
and then, I mean, like, something comes from something in our universe, right? And so it's like, I have my mind wrapped around where
creation has to have some sort of creator.
Right, so I'm like, there's a creator, but like, I don't think, I actually made this in like my philosophy class one time. I was like, imagine we're a screwdriver and a human made a screwdriver, and imagine that screwdriver trying to understand that we're a human. It doesn't even have the parts to comprehend that it's even a thing. Like, I feel like that's how we are to our creator, or whatever it is, whatever, like we can't comprehend it. We have no understanding of it. But what I do know is I appreciate that I have the opportunity to, you know, actually take advantage of what it's been created.
When did your description of like how your faith is here, like when did it actually become very solidified? Like when did you actually start to feel this way about the way you just described?
I think when I started to understand that I find fulfillment within the journey of my life is what was like, okay, like that's because I think there's a lot of fulfillment that's found within these different religions and in different faiths. And I was like, I think I'm the same way. I would describe mine the same way. It's almost like how I see my religion and faith. It's because that's what my fulfillment it is in life. Like for me, I'm fulfilled right now because of the way I see things, the way I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I am expecting myself to do for my entire life right now. Like, this is fulfilling. And so it's become very spiritual, I guess you could say, because I'm taking advantage of what I think life is about for everybody. I think life is for everybody is finding that journey that makes them feel like this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Would you say you're like spiritual?
I guess so, technically, because I'm really all about that, right? So I'm about that journey. And if that's what I'm saying is what the spiritual, what my faith is being appreciative of all of this, then I'm always like that. So I guess in a way I would be spiritual, but not like in a traditional sense of praying and like doing that type of stuff.
What does being spiritual mean? Like, and now that you're kind of deciphering and peeling away the layers, like if you were to describe that for you personally.
Wow. Now we're getting deep. What would spiritual be to me? I think spiritual to me, I think it comes down back to my inner self and me understanding that this is not guaranteed for anybody, for anything. Like, this is not guaranteed. So there's some type of, I'm like taking myself out of the physical world. Like, not that like there's spirits everywhere, but more so like I am not guaranteed to be here, or I wasn't set up to be here, but I am here, right? And so it's like, to me, I guess that's me bringing myself from a non-existence to an existence would be really spiritual for me, I guess, because now I'm coming from nothing into something and being able to actually experience what all of this is, and then going back into the existence of nothing, right? So I guess that would be my take unspiritual. I don't even know if I truly understand that.
No, it's good. You're starting to articulate, because you said you've never really talked about it.
I've never really thought about it very specifically.
Yeah.
But I guess based off of definitions, I feel like that's what it would be for me. Like coming out of a nothing into a something and back into a nothing would be like I don't know, what would it be for you? I'm curious. Like what is spiritual for you?
Well, it's so good that we're talking about this, and for me it's like how you say. So spiritual is what I see is it's not the physical. So we are in the physical. So it's being spiritual means that I believe and understand something that's bigger than myself, because the bigger is in the things that I'm not able to see. So I have a faith, so I believe in God, and I believe I'm a Christian. And I believe that there is something outside, and I totally get it. Like I've grown up in a Christian house, but it wasn't in the sense where it was like, we were going every church every week. It was just like we just wanted to be good people. Yeah. But the thing for me, and I struggled so much with this idea of what is God, and this idea of people putting that on. And it's like I said before the podcast, I said there's a very big difference between the religion versus the relationship. And the relationship could be for whatever. The relationship with Jesus for me is different than the religion of people learning about Jesus. And I think that's a huge different gap. And so I've actually struggled. I went away from my belief for a while, but when I identify the spiritual side, it's when I realized that, because I'm into this thing called apologetics. Have you heard of apologetics?
I have not.
So it's the study of the science and the theology and all the different things about the debate between basically, let's say, Christianity versus atheism, right? Apologetics is the actual study. So when you get out of the context of just the Bible, and I believe the Bible, no matter what you believe, has some truth in there that has lasted for thousands of years, right? Even if you looked at it from a outside perspective, you could still learn some very good qualities.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But this apologetics, it's so cool, and this is kind of where I geek out. Is like I needed to prove myself analytically on what is in that Bible is either true or false. So apologetics looks at like, well, okay, we now have so much science and evidence about the Big Bang, and that this was a thing. And when people prove that, or they said it's real, people are like, oh, Christianity is going down the drain. It's like, no, it actually supports it more, because now that we know that there's a start, which is the bang, in thermodynamics, this is all in apologetics, you learn these things. If you believe in just how the world works itself, the law of thermodynamics, if there's a start, there must be an end. And if there's a start and there's an end, that doesn't mean that the universe is eternal, because that means that it has to be finite, not infinite. Right. And if there's a start and there's an end, and this is a creation, just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, there has to be a creator. What is that creator? Everyone, we're still trying to figure that out. Yeah. And if we knew what it was, then we wouldn't need a God, because then we would be quote unquote God in that sense. But if we knew everything, then we're not human anymore. Right. So go ahead.
I saw this this little clip somewhere, but it was talking about what is God, and like this person was like asking this person to quantify it, and he said that's basically physical impossible, because he made this reference to like a computer. He's like, if you build a computer, you're not in the computer like with the components like moving stuff around, like you're outside the computer building the thing, so it's like we can't comprehend what this spiritual higher power is that built it, because it's not even in our realm, it's outside of it. Right? Build it, if something builds it. Right. And so that kind of stuck with me. I was like, that's really cool.
And when you learn it in those different contexts, you start to really put the picture together, because if you don't believe in the Bible, it doesn't matter what the Bible says, you won't believe it. But when you believe in the laws of the universe, or you understand what it is and it's real, that's what apologetics is. I recommend really looking into it. And there's this really good, I know we're going on this tangent, but I think this will be fun and it's different, but like there was this imagery that I learned. It's like, so the way for us humans to understand God is kind of like how you describe the screwdriver and the human. Yeah. So like this table, we are like, if we put a piece of paper and we cut out you and I, like as a little human, and we are here on this piece of paper, we're basically in like two-dimensional. Like we are flat, and when we look at each other, I only see the edge of your head, because that's what I'm seeing as a paper. Like if two papers are looking at each other, and then if you turn to the side, I'll see a different part of you. It's the same thing. When I see you, I see this physical three-dimensional body, but that's all we know in our realm. Now, let's say there's paper flat Austin, paper flat Jake, and there's
going
this table.
into 3D land and the 4D land. Where are you going with this?
3D Jake. So let's say we're 2D, right? 3D Jake comes over here and I place my fingers, let's say 2 fingers, right into your 2D world. Everything above me is 3D,
you can't see,
but we only can see 2D, so we won't see fingers, we'll see these little lines, right?
Right, lines, yeah.
So this is the same thing on how when something outside, in my belief, like when there's an intervention of a God intervention that comes down into our world and we see a miracle or we see something crazy happen or we see, you know, like the Son of God come in, we only can understand that of our dimension where these 2D Jake and Austin, we see these little circles, but we don't see the entire picture, which is a 3D human. And so that visualization made me realize so well that, like, you know what?
That you can't comprehend.
We can't comprehend what's in the 4D, 5D, all these bigger things that are outside of us because we're only in this 3D
We're in our
realm.
Computer. And we're stuck in here. We're stuck in
our
like
box. In Sims, you know?
We are, yes.
So when I started to learn, I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, I think it's just, for wherever, you know, you're listening right now, whatever your belief is, this is not to persuade you, but this is to expand your mind on realizing that no matter what it is, there is something bigger. And I think we could both agree there's something bigger to us than just us being these random little organisms on this world.
And then even in that, like, even if there's not, you know, or even if you don't believe in it, I still think there's some type of motivation in that too. Is because then now, well, I think it can go 2 ways. Now it's like, okay, everything I do matters or everything you do doesn't matter. You know, it's like where I'm choosing, obviously, everything that I do does matter because I want to take advantage of this time as much as I can, try to see how wonderful I can make this for me and my people around me. Yeah. You know, and so that's where I kind of find something that's more therapeutic, more spiritual.
And I think it'd be the smart decision to say, if you had one of those 2 choices, let's choose a route where everything does matter because it probably is more hope, more inspiration. Where if everything didn't matter, then you probably wouldn't even be here. You would be not alive anymore.
Probably depressed. Yes.
So if you had that choice, let's just choose the better half. And that's the power of decision.
Absolutely.
We all have the choice to do something.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most beautiful
You're here.
thing.
You might as well.
Yeah.
You might as well.
You had the power of choice to say yes to this interview.
Absolutely. And I'm glad I did.
So good, man. Well, thank you for opening up on that and just sharing. I know you haven't really talked about it. And
I mean, I don't even know if it totally made sense because I don't know if I totally understand it.
Because it's the first time you talk about it. And just like how you said, when you get in a new environment, it's the environment of discomfort. You're not going to know everything that's going to happen.
I'll probably go back and watch this and be like, did I mean what I said there? Or is there something there? Maybe.
But my hope is that you planted, just like how you want to plant the seeds in the orchard, you planted a seed of what could be more of you that you understand. And it doesn't mean you change in any way, but it means that you're more tapped into that side of you with your faith, your spiritual, which only will show up more in football, will show up in the way you are connecting with your fans.
Show up in everything, right? Because it is everything, in a sense.
It is everything, yeah.
Boom.
So good, man. Brother, this has been an incredible interview.
Awesome.
We have gone so many different paths. You know, it's the one where usually people like listen on 1.3 or 1.5 speed, but I think you should listen at like 0.9 speed because this guy is a ball of energy, and I want to make sure you soak this up.
Absolutely.
Austin, how do people, like, if they want to be part of your mission, whether it's the foundation, whether it's, you have this, by the way, this new app coming out, the Eksperience. Can you briefly talk on that?
So I kind of have like three different tiers of where I'm trying to help. Trying to help with the foundation, people that cannot help themselves. We talked about course, so I'm trying to get people that are kind of in the general, trying to figure it out.
Course?
Looking for a course. I'm just looking into it. But the app experience is for helping people that have built a community, have built themselves up in ways to interact and actually have some type of way to organize those and offer different types of interactions that they want to offer to their fans. And I found that out by going through the NFL and being like, there's so many people in my DMs that are like, hey, sign a jersey for me. Hey, send me this video. Hey, could you give me a shout out? Like all these different things. So I was like, there's no way I can, I'm going to respond to the DMs. Like that's not efficient. And so basically I'm making a platform where we have right now 6 different offerings, but people that have these followings can go and sign up and then offer different customized experiences. It's called Experience based off my last name, but you can offer experiences to your fans where it's like you get a customized and create an a la carte that you're willing to do for your fans, whether it's signing things, whether it's video chats, social media engagements, gaming, and maybe it's a store. Like we have a way that we're going to continue to add other experiences while we go.
That's so cool. So what's like the minimum? Because you said it's like if you have a following. So do you have to have a big following?
No, you don't have to have a big following at all. Really, we just want to see loyalty and just not a toxic environment. Because you might be in a small town where you have a 1,000 followers, but they really like you're a flower page and you do things with flowers and people like love your comments. It's really just that you have an active community.
As long as you have an active community,
right.
This is something where you could go on there and they could now be engaging in multiple different ways.
Correct. So,
and also be able to charge properly, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah. So you can charge, our creators can charge whatever they want to. I'll use the flower example. If you wanted to go on there and, create some classes or talk about, give advice to people, you could create these topics to offer to different people.
That's so cool.
Or you could just, if you're like, hey, I want to have some type of like shout out from you and tell my person about whatever. Or get something signed even. Like if you have a book, say you have a book, people that do signings. You can't do signings across the entire nation. Well, how are people going to they still want their book signed. They just can't get to you.
Yeah. And
so now we're making a way where basically it's called our Sign My Stuff category, where if you had a book, now people can go to your experience page, see that you're signing your book. They'll basically send the book in. It'll get verified. It'll end up on your doorstep.
This goes all through the app?
All through the app.
Wow.
Right. So we'll verify it. We'll do everything. We'll end it up on your doorstep with a box with a return package on it. So you sign it and then you can drop it back off. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of cool different interactions.
Yeah. We're going to have to talk more on that. The marketing side. We'll have to find ways to keep getting it better. How do people find that? Where do they go? Yeah, everything is in my link tree on Austin Ekeler at Instagram. Okay, so just go to the link tree on Instagram. Do you have a website?
So I have a newsletter because I have 2 shows right now, one with Yahoo about football, motivation, mental health, just talking life really.
That's cool.
Life and football. And then I have a new show on Twitch. I do some live streams on there. And then the app is starting. I do a bunch of giveaways. I do some cool giveaways. So I give away 2 game tickets to every home game and a parking pass. Then if you have me on your fantasy football team, which if you do, I know we got to get it going. I give away 2 jerseys to my fantasy football community every single week.
Good incentive.
And so there's a bunch going on, needless to say. So go sign up for the newsletter and you can see all the different things that I have going on.
You forgot about the 3rd show you're doing.
And the 3rd show, which is...
We're going to be like working out while doing a podcast.
Ah, yes, the workout podcast.
Only squats. 405 on our back.
Squat-tober podcast.
Not going to be able to walk the next day. Yeah. You have to help me get up to 405. I think 315 is
I mean, you got some guns. I can tell you've been working out.
I said squats, not bicep curls. All right? The lower legs.
Don't skip leg day. Don't skip.
So find them at Austin Ekeler on Instagram. And the foundation, you have merch that if people want to be part of that foundation.
If you want to donate, but don't just want to give straight money, want to get something back, because I know that's a thing for people. They want incentives. We have some sick merch on there, some tank tops, some sweatshirts, some t-shirts that you can provide, or you can go there and buy. And all the profits for those go to the foundation, which goes back to resources into the community. So
cool.
It's a cool ecosystem we got over there. Yeah,
that's really good, man. And okay, well I just want to make sure everyone's got everything on that. Last question. What does it mean to create a strategic life?
What does it mean to create a strategic life? I would say, see if we can make this brief. To create a strategic life, I feel like you need to have some type of principles that you want to live by. And I think you can determine those based off of where you want to go with your life, whether that's a concept or whether that's an actual like hard, like this is where the level I want to get to type of thing is, whether it's tangible or intangible, I guess I should have said, and then finding some type of upward trajectory that you can sustain to always be moving towards that, right? And if you can sustain that, I would say if you can find that rhythm and that cadence, that ecosystem of, all of the things that will help you move towards that, I would say that would be a strategic life.
That's good, man. Yeah. And the Ekeler edge.
That would give you, that's my Ekeler's edge.
Yeah,
yes, the Ekeler's edge.
Brother, this has been amazing. I just want to really acknowledge you. This has been
appreciate it, man.
Better than I could even imagine. Nice. The knowledge, and if you feel the same way listening right now, shoot this guy a DM. Are you going to be able to see the DMs if they send you a message? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Not DMs. Oh my goodness.
So if they wanted to say their
because I have thousands of people posting, their stuff for fantasy football, every single week.
Tag us on.
Tags is better. Yes. Tag me in a story.
Tag us on a story. Screenshot this. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. But let this man know that how you felt, because this is how I feel, man. I am beyond impressed by your knowledge.
Appreciate that.
Your wisdom, your ability to take this thing of NFL and this ability to be an athlete, but you're so much more than an athlete. You have the athlete mentality, but that's not the end game. The end game is impact.
And here's the best part about it. Everything I've talked about has been very simple. It doesn't take a lot of skill or knowledge to know the things that I'm talking about, but I have an understanding and an ability to articulate it.
Yes.
But it's nothing I've talked about is some crazy concept that is not obtainable. It's like very basic things.
You're not talking rocket science.
No, I'm not talking you got to go to school and get all these degrees. I'm just talking about managing my time, managing my efforts, and having a plan of knowing that I need to make a plan, like planning to plan, right? And then going and actually trying to execute that and fulfill that.
So good. Well, I acknowledge you for making that happen, and making it work. And I could really tell that you have just a huge heart, man. Like
appreciate
you
it, man.
want to serve and impact. And if there's any way that we can do that, I know there's going to be some fun stuff in the future, but you're setting an example that, hey, you know what? Things are bigger than myself. Yes, I'm going to work on myself. Yeah. But you're saying, no, I gotta leave this wake.
Well, the most important, but I always start, the wake is always behind you, right? So it starts with you. Starts with you have to be your first priority, and then I feel like it trickles out from there. Because if you have yourself under control, now you feel like you can be confident and help others behind you, right? And that's how you continue to level up.
And we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening in to the man, Mr. Austin Ekeler over here. Make sure you tune in on Sunday night or Monday Night Football to see this guy.
Jacksonville.
Getting some touchdowns, crushing it, doing some electric guitar.
I've been playing the guitar too. I don't know if you saw.
I did see that.
You saw a little clip. What
are you not doing? Make sure to tag this guy. Tag both of us. That's the only ask that we have for this show is tag at Jay Cavron and at Austin Ekeler, and really just leave a little message on there so we could see that. I love restoring those things. You know, it means so much that you've listened in this entire way. And if there was one thing that you could take away from this, think about that. Write that down. Whether it's the environment, right? The law of proximity of being around, the worker's mindset, that work is not just the work, but it's actual creation of things, that it's not about the end game, but maybe it's about enjoying the process and asking what questions to ask yourself on how can you enjoy the process more. That's why he's here today, because he doesn't care so much about the end goal. It's about the process. You know, there's so many different nuggets here, but one thing to take away from this podcast, and like Austin said, it's just simple stuff. It's not rocket science. And if he could do it, I'm sure you could do it too.
Simple but not easy.
Simple but not easy. So that's it here. Thanks for listening in. And as always, go create your strategic life, and we'll see you in the next episode.